Hey everyone, and welcome to the first Cold War mod referendum feature. Dev Diary. In this video, I will give a brief overview of how referendums will work in the upcoming China update. Now, we'll be taking a look at two types of referendums: monarchy referendums and country sovereignty referendums, which allow countries to decide if they want to join a particular country and become part of that country. Now, before I begin, I do want to give some pointers about referendums and how they can affect the gameplay and the game world. The mod will feature 4 types of referendums. In the dev diaries, we'll be taking a look at 3 of them, with 1 remaining for you to discover when you play the mod. Referendums can be triggered dynamically or they can be scripted, and you will probably see a mix of these in the game, with the scripted referendums being more aligned historically to how results played out in the real world. Referendums can have far-reaching implications on a nation's political state and territory. As I said before, some referendums will allow you to expand your territory, while others may actually take territory away. And as I said also, this can also happen dynamically. So once a referendum has been fired in the game, it's best to keep an eye out and be sure that the results are heading in your favor. Alright, so now let's take a look at the first type of referendums that we will be talking about, the monarchy referendums. Now, as the Soviet Union, we have quite a problem at the beginning of the game in 1946. We have all of our Eastern Bloc nations, or a lot of them, headed by a monarch. Right, so for example, we have Bulgaria, we have a monarch in Bulgaria, we have Romania with the king here, and we have the institution of monarchy, less of a monarch in the flesh, in Hungary. We also have the Greek monarch, who is a center point in the fight against the communists there. So if you decide as the Soviet Union to back the communists in Greece, getting rid of the monarchy in Greece might be actually a good way to go. And we also have Italy with its monarchy, but that's quite a shaky monarchy, so it is possible that you will not have to put a lot of effort in order for Italy to get rid of its king, but that is of course if you play the historical path. In non-historical paths, things might change drastically. Now, there's a whole way in how you can trigger these Eastern Bloc countries to get rid of their monarchs. But luckily in 1946 we already have a country that has set a date for a monarchy referendum, so we don't need to go through the whole triggering process. And that country is Hungary. Now, Hungary is expected to hold its own monarchy referendum in 90 days from now. And these are the opinion polls that show you more or less how the public is likely to vote. And we can influence the public opinion in order to shift the voting in our favor. Now, as you can see now, the Republican option has the upper hand. So as it seems now, we don't really have to worry about it too much. But if we don't keep a check on it, it might actually slip back to the constitutional monarchy option, and the monarchy will remain in Hungary. So let us intervene or influence this referendum in Hungary. So all I have to do is click on Hungary, click on influence referendum, send. And what happens here is that this section changes to the options of the referendum. Now note that some of these options may be blocked. For example, here, there will be no option to promote the absolute monarchy referendum option. But that is because this is a scripted referendum and that option has been blocked. Now, if we let time pass, you'll see that public opinion will change the way that the public is expected to vote on each of these options. And although nobody can actually promote the absolute monarchy option, it is possible that public opinion may slightly drift in that direction. Also, as you can see, public opinion is gradually changing, and the constitutional monarchy option is gaining some momentum. So if we don't keep an eye on it, it is possible that Hungary could keep its monarchy, and that is something that we should definitely avoid. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here. This will cost me 50 political power. And this will allow me to boost this option significantly, just to give us the upper hand. Once I click this option, there is a timeout period, which I will have to wait. And once the timeout period is done, I can once again boost that option. All right, so as you can see, right now the Republican option has dropped quite significantly, and we should definitely put a bit more effort to make sure that it remains the most popular option. Because once the referendum is held in 35 days, we need this option to be the leading one. So I will once again boost this option, just to make sure that we're on top of it. Okay, so we have a tie, and because there was a tie, Hungary has kept its monarchy, and so we have not been able to remove the monarchy institution in Hungary. However, we might have a second chance to do so in Italy, which should hold a referendum very soon, and we will intervene in that one to make sure that the monarchy is removed and is out of the way. The communists in Italy have quite the upper hand, or I should say they do have quite a bit of organization. So once the referendum begins, the percentage of votes that will vote to abolish the monarchy and go for a Republican government will depend on the amount of organization that the Communist Party and other non-monarchical parties have in the country. So as you can see now, the Kingdom of Italy is holding a referendum that we can intervene in. So let us do just that. And in here, the Republican option actually has a much higher percentage. So this time I will play it safe, and I will make sure to boost that option as much as possible, since the removal of the monarchy in Italy will allow me to sway Italy more easily into the communist camp. I would also like to note that all the numbers that you see here are obviously temporary. All of these things will obviously be subject to further balancing and changes, so none of this is actually final at this point. Another thing that you should notice is that I cannot boost monarchical options as a communist country, and that is because communist countries are not very prone to supporting monarchical regimes. Democracies can actually boost both the constitutional monarchy option and the absolute monarchy option. Alright, so we have 30 days remaining for Italy to abolish its monarchy. Another thing that I want to show you while we wait for the referendum to complete is the referendum intervention tracker. So it is possible that you will be intervening in quite a few referendums simultaneously. And for you to keep a track of all of them more easily in your events and decisions panel, you will see a breakdown of these referendums that you are intervening in and the percentage of each of the options, so that you don't always have to keep each country open or check on every country all the time. You can just have this screen open and make sure that your favorite option is still in the lead. So we have 5 more days, it's looking good. It seems that the Italian monarchy is about to end. And there we go, Italy abolishes the monarchy. So that is all that you need to know about the monarchy referendums. In the previous versions of the mod, the referendums were done with a simple focus option and some simple events. So I wanted to bring much more depth and playability into this feature so that they're not so straightforward as they used to be before, or I should say maybe even boring. And as you can see now, your ability to influence these referendums is much more involving than it used to be. So now that we're done abolishing the monarchy in Italy, let us see the other type of referendum, the country sovereignty referendum. And for this referendum, we will be traveling all the way to Newfoundland in Canada. Welcome to 1948 and to North America. Newfoundland is about to make a historic decision in its path to independence. The country will decide if it should become independent, join Canada, join the United Kingdom, and while the Newfoundlandian population still doesn't know it, they will also be voting if they should become part of the American Union. If you take a look at Newfoundland, you'll see that the country has set a date for a referendum, and it is currently holding 3 options on the ballot. And what we're going to do now, we are going to influence this referendum, but on top of influencing it, we're also going to become another option in the referendum. The way to do this is to claim all of the territory of the country that is voting on its sovereignty referendum. Now, I have laid claims to all the states of Newfoundland and Labrador. And so when I click the influence referendum option, you can now see that I have entered the referendum as another option for the population to vote as an option for joining. We will now be boosting this option, or in other words, campaigning in the Newfoundland population to become part of the United States. Historically, Newfoundland did have a group that was calling for an integration of Newfoundland into the United States, so we are still boosting this option. Now, Canada is quite a strong candidate on the ballot, and as you can see, it is still leading, but hopefully we will have enough time to sway the population to go for a union with the United States. It will cost me a lot of political power, but it will probably be worth it. Now, for those of you who have played the mod before, you know that there was a similar mechanic with Greenland, where you could take over Greenland in certain ways. And these referendums will also allow you to take over Greenland from Denmark after you convince the Greenland population to go independent and then convince them to join you in your glorious American empire. Okay, so the union with the United States is now the leading option. We have 2 days remaining, and we have swayed the population to join our country. Now, once that happens, we get this event, which allows us to either go for it or to refuse. Now, it is possible that if you cannot really keep control of this territory, perhaps you would prefer to refuse. But in this case, we are going to proceed with the union. And now Newfoundland is part of the United States without firing a single shot and in a democratic way, which cannot be disputed by the Security Council. And thus we have cores on all of these territories, and they are recognized territories by the UN Security Council. Alright, so these are the 2 types of referendums that we'll have in the next China update of the Cold War mod. And this feature should definitely be a very interesting addition when playing multiplayer. There are quite a few more changes coming to the Cold War mod, but those will have to wait for their corresponding dev diaries. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video on the Iron Workshop. Bye bye. Thanks for watching this video. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. It helps promoting and growing the channel. Check out my other videos as well. All of this content is possible thanks to the continued support of my Patreons. If you are able and willing, consider supporting my work for just $1 per month on Patreon and gain access to exclusive and early content. Thanks again, see you around.